we had gotten the idea for this show initially very, very early on. And when Shannon left the series, we figured that this idea was dead, because the whole thing revolved around the idea of there being two redheads on the show. And, you know, how often does that happen, really? So we had this wonderful idea that I would send flowers to Beverly, but because they were only addressed to my beloved redhead, they wind up with Amanda instead. Well, so Shannon leaves the series, and we think, okay, we can't do that episode now. But then the next thing you know, Areana's there in her place, and once again we have two redheads on the series. So the show, this episode revived, and we decided to go ahead and do it quickly while we still had the opportunity.
Yeah, it brings over pink flowers, which I really don't like in real life. And yeah, they ended up going to Areana, and chaos ensues.
They get sent saying to my beloved redhead, and you know, it just happens that Adrian's character thinks that they're for her, because Beverly says, oh, nobody would get me pink roses because they know I hate it. And so it's this whole conflict where everybody thinks that Ron is trying to hit on Adrian, and Corey's upset and like, how could you do this, man? You know how I felt, but he's never even said how he's felt before. So it's a thing where everybody's kind of like, not at each other's throats, but we're like, what's going on?
Everybody believes the flowers are for Adrian, and when they find out they're from me, they still think they're for Adrian, so everybody gets in a big uproar because nobody's quite putting together the fact that they were supposed to go to Beverly. And it's a very funny scene, and if you can manage to pick out some of the things people are saying as they're all talking over the top of each other, it's quite entertaining.
Yeah, we all pretty much just ad-libbed what was it, and I thought it would be funny that I say we've been going together since the 5th grade. And that was like my one big funny line that I had in there. And I'm glad that over everybody you can hear that.
We tried to stay in character, and when we all heard what the other person actually said, we're like, what did you just say? Did you say that, really? Like, well, who was it? Dylan was saying, why do you always go after the redheads, or something like that? I don't know.
This is the second appearance by the great Avery DeMay, who plays the florist. And she, of course, came in and did a wonderful job again.
Avery is there at the flower shop, and Ron recognizes her, and she's like, I have no idea who you are, dude. But that is actually the first time we meet Gus, is in that episode.
This episode is special in that we see here the only appearance on the show by Kenny Garcia. But don't let that fool you, because Kenny was as much a part of the Ron Judd Show team as Dylan or Areana or Tasha or myself. He was there from very, very early on, and what a sport to have waited quite a while before we were able to write him in. And then unfortunately, although we had more plans for his character, the show did not continue long enough to actually incorporate him again.
And we also added in my little sister, Ciara. First off, I had the hardest time saying Ciara. I wanted to say Sierra. I've never spoken to Ciara before, so I'm used to saying Sierra. And it was really difficult to get my brain wrapped around saying Ciara.
This show also saw the first of 2 appearances by Champagneil Shelton as Corey's younger sister, Ciara, or Cece, as my character called her. She actually filled in that tension that used to be between Corey and Amanda and did not exist with Adrian's character, and that was sort of picked up by the character of Ciara. And so we see a lot of the conflict between the siblings, which was a lot of fun.
They played siblings well. Very, very well. Even off stage. Very, very well.
That Amanda wedding, and I guess poking upness at him constantly being kind of at his throat.
So it was very, very nice. Especially we see that when she is in the magic scene and is initiating this trickery of her own to make Corey think that his act isn't working.
So in the magic act with Ciara, originally because she's so spunky, she is supposed to try and take the handkerchief from me when the magic act actually works. But in the rush of the moment of trying to like sneak it past him, she forgets to give it to me. So in the end, I look more like the conspirator because I'm handing it to her. But it worked out, especially following with the guilty looks at the end.
Tasha had a way of writing skits that were difficult for other people to perform.
Save the Worms. I still can't pronounce that name. I really, really can't. As try as I might.
The script that was written for me was in some insane scientific jargon.
Corey and his ever-changing accents.
My accent, first off, was terrible.
The what? But that's disgusting. Why are we trying to save it anyways? That's Dylan.
We were able to take Dylan's weakness and make it a strength because it seemed to play well with the character of Corey Connor.